Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. George Pucci from Town Council's office. That's really in your discretion about what, if any, action you want to take at this time, based on what was reported to you. I did not think that the purpose of this meeting was to discuss potential enforcement, but I might have that wrong, and I can be corrected. I mean, as of right now, you have SBPF's description to you about the annual report for that year. You have some comments from expert consultants from other parties who are raising issues of concern to you. And you can either discuss that further, schedule it for another meeting. You can hold off and combine it with the discussion for the latest annual report. It's really within your discretion totally about what you want to do. I do know that the commission takes the approach with every applicant or operator of a project that if there are potential enforcement issues, you tend to try to work those out with the permit holder prior to taking actual enforcement, even writing an enforcement letter. So you could defer that conversation. It's all within your discretionary authority, subject to either you as the chair or further discussion with the commission what you want to do. But again, I did not think that, in sort of the permit holders, not defense, but from their perspective, I don't think that anyone expected that there would be potential enforcement taken, or discuss potential enforcement measures at this meeting. So.
Thank you, George. That's definitely helpful. So I don't know, in hearing that, Jeff, if maybe it would be wise to maybe schedule the 2020 annual review kind of as soon as possible, and then have a discussion about further action based on both reviews at some time after that.
Sure. So I know we've already sent it off, and I saw him come back on. So I'd have to look at my emails to remember, but I know we sent that report already off to Mr. Berman for review, and he is endeavoring to get that back to us by about the middle of April, which I think is pretty good. It's about a 1 month turnaround to read it, digest it, get a report out. I think that's pretty fair. So I think we could probably schedule something towards the end of April for the 2020 review to give everyone a chance to read his review, and then get any other information that you guys are looking for at that point.
Ashley?
Yes,
sorry.
George.
Sorry, Jeff. I should mention as well, I mean, everybody is aware of it. There is also a process that the select board has initiated to have a full review of issues and options related to Sconset Bluff through the Arcadis proposal, and that public process that's going to go forward. They certainly are not, their findings are not, binding or even all that relevant in terms of potential enforcement issues for the commission, but they are conducting an exhaustive review of all issues concerning the existing project, any potential expansion project, other options such as potential no-build options or move infrastructure, and that process is underway. The Arcadis proposal was accepted by the select board. They've had an initial meeting with the select board about the process going forward. They intend to solicit input from Nantucket Land Council, Coastal Conservancy, other interested parties such as Attorney Murphy's client, and obviously as well hear from any consultant input that these stakeholders would find relevant. So, I just wanted to mention that to you, that's an important part of this process. It's not binding on you for your, enforcement authority within your jurisdiction, but it is something for you to be aware of, that, hopefully that process would lead to further relevant information to be taken into consideration with respect to everything involving both the existing project and what would happen in the future with respect to that project, both with respect to mitigation requirements, any types of variations, how to make up for any deficiencies. All of those issues should be also addressed in that process. And you might benefit from, the information that comes up as the result of that. Just wanted to mention that.
Thank you, George. That is important to remember, that other study is going on out there. Jeff, and then Trey.
And just as a reminder on that, I may have missed that George said it, but that study is due back to the town towards the middle to end of September. So it's a pretty, I don't want to say it's pretty soon, but it's in the scale of town government moving, it's pretty soon. So something to keep an eye out for.
Thank you, Jeff. Trey, you had a question or comment?
Just a quick comment. I agree with George that the process the town's undertaking with Arcadis to look at, different alternatives for what's possible and what would work with Wisconsin is important. But I don't think that eliminates the need for mitigation, because, given another year before that report comes out and before anything's implemented, we're really disadvantaging, all the people that live along the eastern seaboard of Nantucket that aren't protected behind this geotube system. So I would hate for it to wait that long. I definitely think getting mitigation onto the beach, especially if we're looking, into the latest report, which is 30,000 cubic yards. It's a lot of material. And if we wait another year, I don't know what that number might be. But that's my only point.
Thank you, Trey. I definitely think it would be wise before we look at the 2020 annual report and before we kind of discuss enforcement, that maybe SBPF have a proposal or an idea about how you think you might try and make up that deficit. I think it's kind of, again, important for you to try and be proactive in this process rather than us kind of always saying that it's our way or the highway, or like enforcing, you guys, again, just trying to be proactive. Maureen, you had your hand up.
Yes, with regard to the Arcadis report and any action we might take with regard to enforcement or what have you, I mean, the Arcadis report can't change the terms of the order of conditions or the clear facts that we have. Yes, there are different interpretations of whether or not what is in the order of conditions is, maybe something less could be had, but that's not in our purview, certainly, to change the order of conditions or decide it doesn't count. And I can't imagine that Arcadis is going to be saying, commenting on something such that it would impact the situation we are in right now. And so I personally would want to, I'm sure there'll be interesting and useful information that comes from that, and maybe things about, emergency, better ways to deal with Baxter Road and the rest of it. But I think that our issue of enforcement really is independent of almost anything else. I think, we have the information now, and I'm not suggesting we do this today, but this is today wound up being yet another stage in the facts coming out again and what the standards are and what has happened. And so, at the least, I would think to do this with the look at the 2020 report. And then as soon as possible, have us, and if in the meantime, if SBPF wants to come up with something, a la your suggestion, Madam Chair, that would be fine. That would be interesting, but whatever, and whatever they may suggest doesn't change where we are now today. And so I have a strong feeling that we should do something about that, no matter what else is going on otherwise, so I would suggest getting to 2020 ASAP and getting to the enforcement action, as soon as possible as well. I'm willing to I would say even get to the enforcement action before the 2020 report, but maybe we don't need to do that. And so if we do the 2020 report and discuss the enforcement action, but I think both of those should be done as quickly as possible because we have a very concerned public, and we obviously have our own concerns as commissioners and the enforcement of the orders of condition, which is our job. So that's what I think.
Thank you, Maureen. Rick?
Yeah. Am I unmuted?
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Just a general observation. What I hear, and George, bear with me, is take your time. And what that also amounts to is delay. And this has been going on a long time. And I would encourage you as a commission to, at the very least, put it on your agenda and have a discussion amongst yourselves as to what course of action. I mean, if you wait for the 2020 report and Greg Berman's response and then think about a meeting, and then they're going to say, let's wait for Arcadis, and then we don't know what's going to happen with the lawsuit. All of those things could drag on for a long time. In the meantime, we don't know whether they plan to bring the deficit current and how quickly. And we don't know whether they're contributing the proper amount right now. I think at the very least, you need to get information on a current basis from them to know what the process is. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Any other comments, any thoughts from commissioners? It's sounding like maybe some of you want to push up a discussion before the 2020 annual review. So that's a thumbs up from Mark, from Ian as well. Okay. And Maureen. So I guess we'll have to look at our agendas. Maybe I don't think it'll go on for this meeting on Thursday, but potentially the next meeting, we can have this as a discussion item. And then we'll schedule the 2020 review as soon as possible, and potentially get another discussion after that. Moving forward. Josh Eldridge, you had your hand up.
Hi, Madam Chair. Thank you. Yeah, I did. I just wanted to echo what Rick was saying. I mean, this is the first one of these meetings I've sat in for 14 or 15 years now. When we lost the bottom out there, there was no point in sitting in these. But sitting here today, listening to these conversations, these are the exact same arguments that I heard 15 years ago about give them time, look at this, look at that. And nothing ever changes. I really am happy to see that you guys are going to push this up on your agenda, and I think that's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other kind of final thoughts or comments on the 2019 annual review, Ian?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I have to disagree with Josh respectfully. I'm 15 years older. Thank you.
Jeff?
So I think as far as scheduling goes, if this is helpful, we do have a regular meeting this Thursday. I think trying to circle the wagons for this Thursday, given that we're meeting on Monday, is probably tough. But I think if you guys would like, Joanne and I could kind of endeavor to figure out some date possibilities for sometime after Greg kind of expects to get the report to us for 2020, and then could also provide some dates in the interim in between that date, probably in late April, and then our next meeting to add it to one of our regular agendas just for a continued discussion topic. But we can have all those dates for you guys on Thursday.